What's going on, baby? It's your boy Smooth Johnson, and now we are all elite. Looking to get into some of the gameplay and check out the game and get myself built up and ready to go. You ready? Let's do it, baby. Booyah. So as I was pretty much looking through a lot of the designs for the characters, it was pretty fun and interesting to look at the fact that coming from WWE 2K23 into now the new game, how pretty much everything has kind of changed for me. I find myself a lot as I've been going through and looking at the animations, trying not to compare it to WWE 2K23 or any of the previous WWE 2K games. But the funny thing about it is that yes, it does look like a old school retrofitted WWE game, as like the No Mercies, the WCW versus NWO Revenge, because basically it was made by THQ and Ukes, who were the ones that ushered in the wrestling game era for us until it came to SmackDown and SmackDown versus Raw, Here Comes the Pain, and all of the other games that we've seen and dealt with over the past few years too. I thought it was pretty interesting looking at the character designs because I wasn't quite sold on how everything looked, and I wasn't really sure on how everything was going to look as well going into the game. But once getting the actual models, it's pretty much like a more up-to-date and more fluid version of the games we used to play of old. So I was actually very surprised and very interested into getting more into the game for that specific reason. They only have a few type of body shapes that, they only have a few type of bodies. They only have a few body types that you can select from. They don't really have an extensive character customization suite that you can actually use to build up how things you want to. It's pretty much whatever they have there. You can set your presets from your entrances to your finisher, your signature, your move set, and you can also do a few other things as well. So what I thought was pretty interesting is as I was looking through a lot of the signatures, the finishers, the taunts, the moves, a lot of the stuff that we have seen before that are in previous games. So that was pretty interesting as well to see that yeah, they kept everything that they had, and a lot of the moves that you have seen in and with my character Smooth Johnson, he was always a fan of doing like knee strikes, so that was why I chose the rain trigger for his signature. Finishers, I really couldn't find out what I wanted to do as of yet because of the fact that it was going to be an elbow drop, so you had to go through this extensive long list. They don't have an ability for you to skip from letter to letter with L1, R1, or skipping through to get to the part where you're trying to get to. So I was looking for more running knees, more running knee moves, and of course you have the Kenny Omega V trigger moves in there as well, which all honestly look pretty cool. I wish you could actually get some of these in the other games as well, but that's kind of what's going to set this apart, is that we get access to different moves and different sets and abilities that we couldn't get on the previous WWE 2K game, which is perfectly fine. I'm not tripping about that at all, but it's really just cool to see the other moves, the other characters, and all of them kind of being brought to life. And we all know that THQ and Ukes knows what they're doing, so yeah, come on now. After 5 years of working on this and doing what they can, they kind of revived themselves in a major way. And I think that the game is really cool and it's a lot of fun for whatever it's trying to offer up for the most part. But yeah, you've got like the Kinshasa in there. You've got Brock Lesnar's F5 in there. You've even got like Roman Reigns' ability things in there, and a lot of the WWE animation. So pretty much they just said, look, we got a lot of stock stuff in here that we're gonna bring over to you anyway. And the same thing happens, like AEW has moves in WWE games as well. We have a lot of the moves and a lot of the entrances as well, because a lot of them have passed through WWE at one point in time, even if they aren't still at date at WWE as well. So what I was trying to do was trying to find a move that could replace the finisher for my character Smooth Johnson. He normally does like an elbow drop, and I do have it where he's doing like now a reverse elbow attack, running attack if you will. So I was looking through a lot of those, but like I said, it really got to the point where it was pretty bad and trying to get to the diving moves for that, because you can't do up left or you can't do left right trigger to do anything differently. Yeah, the V trigger power bomb is actually pretty nice. I'm not mad at that one. But I'm going to skip ahead right now to the other ones. But as you can see, there's tons of moves in here, tons of familiar ones that we've seen, and tons of other moves that we haven't seen yet that come from a lot of the new characters. And we might be seeing some of the other characters eventually as well, coming over from New Japan Pro, Ring of Honor. So we might have access to a lot of different characters and moves and finishers and all of that stuff that may come up with the expansions or whatever they do as far as character passes. So we finally got up to the diving moves. I was able to look through a lot of them and try to figure out if there was an elbow drop that I liked, because it was called the heat-seeking elbow or heat-seeking missile or elbow drop on WWE 2K. We see that we got a lot of the Macho Man ones. We got some of the more basic ones, but nothing too flashy, nothing too cool looking. So I wasn't really sold on them just yet. And I was kind of like just trying to decide on it. And I couldn't really figure out exactly what I wanted to do for Smooth Johnson just yet. But I believe I landed on the diving Judas effect, because it does look pretty cool that it's a flying reverse elbow. So it's a little bit different, little spin on the flying elbow drop as his finishing move. So what I decided to do, they allow you to go into training mode right from the creator menu, so that way you can play with your character and test out your moves, your move sets, your finishers, your signatures, to see how they work, to see if you like how everything flows with the moves and everything too. Now I'll tell you right now, one of the biggest struggles for me was I was instantly and immediately trying to go to the controls of WWE 2K23 or the other WWE 2K games as far as trying to pick them up. I had a problem with it at first. I'm still struggling with it because of that muscle memory, so it's going to suck for a little while. But instantly my mind went back to playing the WWF No Mercy and started to remember, you know, L1, R1 are your buttons to block and dodge, and then you have to pick them up with your B button and grab with A and hit with X and all of that stuff. And there's a very little comprehensive move system in there where it's not just all clean cut and dry and cut and paste. You actually can do some pretty decent flow in combat and wrestling and moves and maneuvers too. Now, as far as like springboards and all of that stuff, I don't know how to do any of that yet, so I really would advise that anybody picks up the game, spend some time learning it and getting familiar with it, getting those muscles memorized for the moves and how things works, because what you're going to see right now in this whole little session is a lot of the same moves, because I was just trying to find a way to get to the signature so that I could perform the signature and then get to the finisher and do the finisher as well. So this was definitely the first testament of my very first match on AEW Fight Forever, where I had to look, I'm struggling right now as we speak, trying to think about it exactly how to use those buttons. I'm trying to use the right trigger, the right stick to pick them up, to do different moves, to transition, and it was really funny. It was actually a very hilarious moment for me trying to go through those things over and over again. But it started to kind of meld again. Like I said, all of those old memories of how to play and what to do started to come back slowly but surely. But still, it was very hard is what I was trying to do. But I think overall the game is a little bit more on the polished side for the visuals and how they want everything to move in the ring. It's really going to be up to you as far as you getting used to the controls and if it's really meant for you. I know that I've had it over times where there are certain moves or certain games that move a certain way or play a certain way, and I just couldn't get behind it, or I couldn't get with it. It kind of was just too jarring for me. And I felt like this was going to be like that at first, but then the more I got to play it, the more I got familiar with things, the more I got acclimated to how the actual moves work and how the system flows. So yeah, once you get over that hump, if you do get over that hump, you're definitely good to go. You'll be able to enjoy the game and play it and get through a lot of the free fun stuff that they've got. The road to elite looks like it's going to be pretty dope as well, even though they want you to do various playthroughs. But yeah, overall, I think it's a really cool thing to see AEW in the video game format. I'm glad that there is some form of competition. It doesn't have to be direct competition as in being a full-on simulator wrestling game. I think the arcade and the fun and wackiness of wrestling games is what made us all love them back then anyway. To have those little souped up or overhyped move sets that were in the game originally that we got to enjoy. Boom! That's called the Neo trigger, complete ripoff of Kenny Omega's V trigger, but it's always still fun to try to reinvent yourself when you have your own special character. So now it's time to go ahead and hit them with the new Boomtown drop from top rope. Boom! And I like how they do that with also the replays when they do them as well. So hopefully we can get this. 1, 2, 3. GG's. See you in the next one. Peace.